couple of my favorite ones, I have a large aircraft manufacturer in the state of Washington, and it's one of my favorite ones because it's probably the most interesting program we've ever developed. All of them kind of spin off of what we did here. So working with them, we developed ultimately and run today a industrial massage program. So we have industrial massage therapists that work to prevent injuries from becoming injuries on the floor. If they look like they're becoming an injury before they're reportable, we can have athletic trainers intercede. So we built the athletic training program for them. We ended up handing that off to another company at some point in time, but we built out the whole entire athletic training program for them. And then we built out the on-site physical therapy program. And then we built out a return to work program, which includes work conditioning or work hardening. So it's not uncommon for us, once an injury occurs, to do acute PT and then move right into work conditioning, work hardening. And we can spend with some patients up to 6 to 8 hours a day in rehab, strengthening and conditioning them for their return to work. So we have our own fuselage in the plant. And we get to go onto the job site to see where they were injured and what the mechanism of injury was. And so it's one of my favorite ones because we built a whole entire program from beginning to end from them. We've saved them millions of dollars annually because our return to work rate is roughly 85%. The national average is somewhere around 50%. We also service FedEx. And we started out in LA and their LAX. So all of these are at the airport, but we started out at LAX. Then we did pretty doggone good. We had one of the lowest injury rates in the country. So FedEx gave us their Oakland location. We did well with that one. They gave us their Anchorage, Alaska location. We did well with that. We picked up Oahu. And then most recently, we picked up their Ontario location in Southern California. And we're just now starting. I've personally been to Memphis with the woman who runs the program. We've met with FedEx there. And now we're starting to take on some of their groundwork in Phoenix and in Sacramento. And so the goal is to continue to develop and grow that program. But we have to be pretty creative in how we build those. For the city of Oakland, we did all of their work task analysis. So when you write a job description, somebody has to do the physical requirements of the job. So we went in, some of my employees were driving street sweepers, working with canine units. Every department within the city of Oakland, we were involved in order to help write those job descriptions for them. For Palo Verde Nuclear Power Plant in Arizona, we built out testing protocols for their law enforcement. They have minimum response times they have to meet when they have an emergency, and they have to test annually for it. And it's a pretty sedentary group, and they were injuring their employees when they were testing them. So we looked at all the federal guidelines. We built out the testing protocol. It went so well that we ended up being referred to Entergy and Exelon, which are on the East Coast, and then we ended up being referred to Southern California Edison. So for 4 nuclear power plants within the country, we built out their testing protocols. We built a mobile platform for one of the largest construction companies in Northern California, and we started out with one van. And a lot of what I'm going through takes a long time to develop these, but I'm giving you kind of the finished product. So we built out a mobile platform for them. And so the first year we built out one van, generators, treatment tables, air conditioners, and so on. And so we would show up at locations we happened to treat at that year at roughly 140 locations and 700 to 800 unique individuals. And so the first year, if you look at what their claims cost were in prior years, after they paid us, we saved them $500,000 in the first year. So before we handed the program over to them, we built out 5 vans that traversed everything from the Reno border to Central California to the Bay Area. And we were responsible for all those areas 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And we treated, several thousand employees annually for them. And these are all people that would have to leave the job and didn't have to leave the job. So that's one of my favorite ones because everybody said it wasn't doable when we built it out. There's a company called NFI, which is a national trucking company, several billion-dollar company. And we built out for them, they do a lot of management warehousing for a lot of different companies. So one of my favorite ones, we did a bunch of them with them. We did Brown Shoe, we did some Louis Vuitton stuff and stuff like that. But my favorite one was with Hanes Underwear. And we met with some of the Hanes Underwear executives at the time, but we talked about what we could do. They had about 1 million square feet in Southern California. And what they handled is Haynes, the factory, would ship their products to Northern California Distribution Center, and then they would repackage the stuff for Walmart, Target, CVS, Walgreens, anybody who sells Haynes. They all want them in different packaging, different, like somebody might want 3 pair of underwear and 2 pair of socks. They might want all underwear, no socks, and so on and so on. So they repackage them for the specific reseller. Well, the problem that they were having is they had a ton of injuries in different parts of the plant. So our job was to figure out how to help them come up with a program so they could reduce their injury rate. So we spent about maybe 2.5 years working with them, and then ultimately ended up handing the program off to them too as well to run. And a lot of what we do, with the exception of these highly complicated ones like FedEx and our other client, a lot of them we'll go in, we'll teach them how to run the programs, and then we help staff them, and then we walk away. So a lot of it's consulting. But I could go through and name a lot of other employers that we like. Campbell Soup was one of our clients, and we were on site with them in Elk Grove, California, which is that Sacramento area, and we were up in Seattle. And so we've, being the size of a company we are, it's unusual for a company our size to be able to dip their oar in network development and in on-site business. And yet we've been able to successfully do that. And I attribute a lot of that to not only my background. I was very fortunate to work for Select Metal, to work for Sutter. And so I understand how larger organizations can function. So we've built a lot of those similarities. But the woman who runs my on-site program has been doing it since she graduated college. And she's probably 25 to 30 year PT. So she's worked for Coca-Cola, she's worked for Pepsi, and you name it. Big Fortune 500 companies she's worked for. And so we take the skills with her and we deliver those skills to employers. So I'm meeting next week with an up and coming fiber installation company, and we're going to take over all of their workers' comp for them in Houston, Albuquerque, and in Seattle. And then ultimately we'll end up taking on more over the course of time. We'll probably do some type of mobile platform for them too as well. So that's our second division. Our third division is our wholly owned division. And those are the clinics that we own, and we own the clinics in Arizona, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And so with those 3 divisions, we were able to diversify. So if we take a hit in one area, usually another area can offset it. And I learned that when we hit the 08, 09, then I'm looking at it going, oh, hell, what are we going to do to survive?